Step into the world of the Superpro podcast, where we lay out the blueprints of home service excellence. Join us as we break down the wins and struggles of pros who are at the top of their game. Put their wisdom into practice as you build your company's success.
All right, welcome to the Superpro podcast, the heartbeat of home service excellence. I am Roland Leitenberg, your host and co-founder of Housecall Pro. I'm an advocate for all the hardworking pros out there that help make our homes better, safer, and more comfortable. Through Housecall Pro, I've had the pleasure of helping hundreds of thousands of pros, empowering you all to achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. Today, I'm super excited. I've got a long-term Housecall Pro user, Brent Colquitt. He's the CEO of OC Tasker, based out of Newport Beach, servicing all these high net worth individuals, these crazy cool homes with sweet technology and automation. He's got a revenue goal of hitting $500,000 this year with 4 employees and 2 vans on the road. I'm excited to join in and dive into Brent's journey and all the challenges he's overcome to get to where he's at, and all the insights along the way that he's learned. So welcome to the show, Brent.
Thanks a lot, Roland.
So tell me, OC Tasker, what was the genesis story for your business? What made you go into business and start? And how'd you pick Newport?
So we moved here about 9 years ago. We lived out in the Inland Empire area here and raised our kids. They moved on to college and moved out, and we decided to come down here. And I was working remotely. I was in the IT side of the business for 30 years. And what happened was I had some spare time, especially during summer, and I started a smart home company, just doing some Nest and Ring installations. And that's how we kind of, the genesis of our company started. And what happened was I told my wife, hey, I can train other people in other states to do exactly what I do. I'll get a good software like Housecall Pro, and I'll organize it all, and then, pay them $30 an hour and charge $100 to install like a thermostat, for example. So that's what I did. I was in Texas, I was in Arizona, I was in Oregon, New Jersey, and Colorado. And I flew out, trained guys. They called me when they had problems, and I helped them through it, and that worked great. And I thought, oh, this is going to be sweet. And then Nest changed the way that they divvy the work out, and they hired a company that's a national firm and took all the small guys out. So I had to pivot. And I really enjoyed helping people. I enjoyed making, some side income. And so we started doing handyman home improvement type stuff, which I've learned over the years, having my own homes. And my father-in-law was very good at that and taught me a lot of cool things. And so I started doing that. I was in a job, I got laid off, and I said, I'm going to go for this full time. So that's what happened. And since we're down here in Newport Beach, California, we have a lot of individuals here that are not affected really by the economic turns. And so they, even the wealthy folks need a handyman to get things done at their house. Same things happen there that happen in anyone's house. So
Sure.
We just decided to focus on that market and kind of be the Mercedes of handyman. And when we go there, we see other companies that are there getting serviced all the time. These people, right? They're getting their cars washed in front of their house. They're just everything you can imagine. They get catered to, and they enjoy some somebody who can understand their requirements and meet them and exceed them is what we like to say we always do. And then just be very good to them and get repeat customers and referrals from that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most organic way to grow a business, which is do good work, and they'll tell all their friends, whether they're talking about it during tea time, when they're golfing, or out at the club, or whatever it happens to be, especially Newport Beach, or I guess at the beach too. Newport's a beautiful, beautiful area. And so it makes total sense. And being a handyman, everyone has honey-do lists, where it's just like, they're small enough, but in aggregate, it's just a bunch of stuff, and someone's gotta get it done. I love, by the way, how you've got different maintenance plan and handyman plans and those types of things too with your business, because I feel like things just stack up. And if you can get into the home multiple times on a regular basis, that's a great way to build like a recurring business model in a service-based business, which is typically
Totally.
not recurring.
Yeah, and one of the things that's very helpful is that we can do that with Housecall Pro, because that's one of the features that we started using.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to have a monthly recurring revenue, an MRR that keeps on giving.
Yep.
And we sell those to Airbnb customers, to people that just want somebody there every month. They've got so many things they've got to get done. And a lot of, we also do on the commercial side as well. And we find that to be very lucrative. And the other thing that's nice about that is, when they have other things that they need done besides the monthly maintenance, when something happens, they don't go out and look for another company. They already know us. We have the relationship. They just call us and say, hey, I just had a customer call and say, hey, we need to put up a 16 panel LED kit screen, can you do that for us? I said, sure, we can do that. We haven't done that before, but that's one of the things that we also like to do, is kind of dive into new things. And if you don't stretch yourself and try new things, there's some investment there sometimes to do that, but we like to do that so that we can expand our services as well.
Well, I'm sure, in the area that you're located, you have a whole bunch of new technology and gadgets always going into those homes, and people want the latest and greatest. So you probably get to play with a whole bunch of fun toys and high-end tech things getting installed in homes too.
We do. We do a lot of those things. You would be amazed at what, like you said, what is out there and what people do, and what one button can do to automate the whole place. It's an incredible thing to have and to learn, and then to be able to repeat.
Definitely. So you've got some employees. I think for small businesses, it's often really hard to even get your first hire and then your second hire. And you now have multiple employees. You've gone through multiple employees. How are you able to kind of delegate that work out? You're not the one necessarily even doing the work. How are you able to let that responsibility go? What kind of tips and things have you learned over the years that kind of makes that smoother for you?
So when we pull somebody in, first of all, we have a hard time finding people, just because we have a certain level of customer service that we deliver. So we're very selective. But when we do, we bring them on board. We use them for 30 days as a technician, contractor, and say, hey, if you're working out, we'll bring you on. If you like us and we like you, we'll bring you on as an employee. Once we do that, we send out usually two techs on each job, a junior and a senior. So, and then we average the rates and say we get like a 60% efficiency from those two guys. And so the junior guy learns from the senior guy. Most of the jobs require more than two sets of hands, or more than one set of hands, two sets. So what we do is we leverage that so that then the junior guy can become a senior guy down the road and get promoted. But we also like to be able to provide that service to a customer instead of getting there and saying, oh, well, we need another guy. So we usually send out two people out there. So what we do is we train them on how we deliver. We show them by example, and also with our training materials, and keep a close eye on that kind of on a day-to-day basis, and make sure we answer questions, or we go out and I'll go out and look at the work and make sure that it's done to our standards, and make sure that not only the tech has got all the information they need, but the customer is also happy with that performance.
Yeah, I think that training method, which is like, you're doing it on the job, is great. Especially we can pair like a senior with a junior person. You can level them up, and then down the road, if you need to bring in another junior, that hopefully that previous one is now senior enough to do the ride-alongs.
Exactly.
And with some of the work you're doing too, you got to have those two pairs of hands. If you're lifting like, a 200-inch LCD, you're not going to do that with one person and try to hang that on the wall by yourself. So,
I haven't done a 200-inch yet, but yeah, an 85-inch, the TVs are really light now because they're so thin in the material. But when you get to 85, 90-inch, it actually gets heavy, so you need a third person for some of those. So But one of the things that we also do, Roland, that I wanted to share real quick is that we do a pay for performance as well.
Okay, tell me about how do you do that? How do you manage that?
What we do is we budget, let's say 4 hours for a job. We pay someone on an hourly rate. And if they can get the job done in the 4 hours or less, then they get a 35% of the labor rate that we charge to the customer. So let's say we're charging the customer $100 an hour. They would earn $35 an hour versus $30 an hour. And they would get it, let's say they did it in 3 hours, they would make, $35 times 3 versus $30 times 4, which would be more money in their pocket in less time. So, and then if you get a 5-star review while you're out there, we give them a $20 bonus for that. And so we try to motivate them because when they do well, we do well, and it's a great thing for everybody.
I love that system. A lot of people tell me like, okay, I want to do pay for performance, but I don't know how to determine how long a job is supposed to take. And I tell people like, everything happens on a distribution curve. Some jobs are abnormally long, some are abnormally short, but somewhere in the middle, you start to get to some number that you say most jobs, 95% of the time are going to be plus or minus like an hour there. But how are you determining like that job's going to be 4 hours? Are you the one that's going out and bidding that and saying like, I'm Brent, I've been doing this for years. This would take me this long. And that's what it's based off of? Or how are you modeling that?
Yeah, that is how some of it is done, but we also have other guys who've been around that can go out and do estimating as well, which they use some other piece of software that you guys are integrated with that I want to talk about as well. But they will go out and do an estimate. They usually are out in the field before they do the estimating, so they kind of have an idea of how much things take, how much time they take. But one of the things that we do is we'll review the estimates as well, just a cursory review to make sure it looks reasonable. They didn't forget anything. And so we kind of shoot that way. And sometimes we're off, sometimes we're not. But, we try to get close and be reasonable about it, maybe be a little more generous so that, if they have an opportunity to make some extra money, then they can do that, even if we're overestimating a bit.
Yeah, I like that method a lot more because if you're doing just, time and materials, what ends up happening is the incentive is to take as long as possible, and the reality is if you tell the homeowner it's going to cost X, you're just chewing into your margins, which is very difficult to defend. And instead, if you just do this performance pay type model where you say this job is worth four hours of labor, and if you do it sooner, you get a higher billable hour rate. You can knock out more jobs in any given day, which helps the company grow, makes the customers happy because you're in and out of the home quicker. It's more pay for the technician. So it's like win-win-win all around, which is why it's a really cool method.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we really like it a lot. And, the technicians respond because they find ways to become more efficient, not to be sloppy and get out of there quick, but to be more efficient on doing things. There's always a quicker way to do something that's just as effective.
Sure. Yeah. And then also as they become better and more skilled, they're rewarded for it. So oftentimes people are like, well, Roland, how do you give raises and how do you think about these things? How are home services companies? But like as they become better at their trade and better at what they do, they find these more efficient routes, these better ways. You're not going through a whole bunch of stud bays, to run a wire this way, you're going to run it this way. And once you start to learn that type of stuff, you're able to increase your own pay just based on your own experience because you're doing things faster.
And they learn from the seniors, right?
Right.
The juniors are learning from the seniors, so they're passing that on to those guys. So
yeah, I love it. What other things, like where are you finding great employees? Are you training them from scratch and they have zero experience? Like are you hiring, because some people are like, oh, just hire someone that you find at Starbucks that has really good people skills. Yeah. Are you hiring people that have skills and then you train some of the people skills? How are you doing that?
Yeah, it's kind of a variation of that, of all of that. One of the things that I picked up, I think I read somewhere, someone was saying they carry these cards with them that said, the front says, you're great. On the back, it says, we'd love for you to apply to our company. And here's kind of why and what we offer. So if I'm at Home Depot and there's some guy that I'm there and he's always doing a great job, I'll pass him the card. I don't want to be, a poacher, but if I find somebody who's I think would be really good for the company, I think they can learn a lot of the skills, and if they've got a great personality, I'll give them one of our cards, and then they'll contact us, and we'll have a discussion. And it could be at Starbucks, you could be at Home Depot, you could be anywhere really. And when you find these people, it's great. I gave one to a guy who was at the hospital, and we were doing. We were having our car parked, and the guy parking our car, I've seen him a few times. Really nice guy. I gave him one of our cards, to have him give us a call. So, but we try to find people that have experience, but it's also nice to find people that don't have too much experience, that have an aptitude for it and can learn. And sometimes that's the best way to do it, because they learn your method, they learn how you do things, and
bad habits. Yeah,
no bad bringing any bad habits and things like that. So, but it is challenging to find these people, and we interview people like if we go on Indeed or ZipRecruiter. The last time I did that, I got like 30 responses. Some people had very little information on there. Some people, scheduled an interview, they didn't show up. Some people showed up, and first guy asked, well, what do you know about our company and the position? He goes, I don't know anything about it. And I said, well, that's all we need to talk about then. And, thank you very much, but no, thank you. Because if you don't have the time to even just go look at our website and kind of understand what we do and who we are and what the job is about, if you're so busy that you can't look at that, then you're not the right guy for us.
That makes a lot of sense. Earlier here, before we started the interview, we're talking a little bit about building systems, and as you're growing your company, you need to make sure you've got systems in place. How did you start with that? How did you know where to build a system? Like, what does it mean to you, and how do you do that? At OC Tasker.
Yeah, so we kind of started out with some of these free things like Joist. We started out with that, and that was fine. But then I got a call one day from one of your marketing guys, and I thought it was for something else. I said, you guys have already called me. I'm interested. He said, no, this is Housecall Pro. We are a home service, software. And I said, oh, so I talked to them, looked at it. I really was impressed just by the presentation of the estimates and the jobs. They just look, the invoices, they look more professional than other pieces of software. You guys have links for terms of service where others don't have that. And so I started looking at that, and I thought, gosh, I'm not that big, but my goal is to look bigger than I am. I'm going to create a website. I'm going to get some nice software that makes me look professional. And Housecall Pro did that for me. And I get a lot of compliments on the presentation and how easy it is and things like that. So we started out with Housecall Pro. We use a lot of the features in there, including the normal stuff, the estimates and the jobs and the dispatching and all that. But like I said, we use the service plans, which is really cool. And I just found out the other day, when somebody saves their credit card on there, they get charged every month automatically, which is kind of sweet. And then we just call them and schedule the job. We also started using Housecall Pro Assist just recently, which has worked out really well for us. Where we just started using the GPS dash cam, the Force, I think it's Force Fleet.
Yep.
That's pretty sweet. Shows the customer where we are, takes, it's great for crime and for any issues that happen on the road.
Yeah, but insurance for sure. Yeah. Keep yourself from bad claims, all kinds of stuff.
We also use the Chirp integration as well. I know Taylor and Ryan over there real well, and I have a little story later, but I actually was working for Ryan for about a year as a contractor, doing sales and onboarding for Chirp. So I got exposure to a lot of different home service companies, and it was amazing how they all ran and what they do and what they don't do. And then we also use Company Cam, which when I first started using it, I thought this is kind of ridiculous. I've already got a camera. I can save my pictures on it. I didn't get it at first, but then I started using it and understanding, I've got reports I can send out. And so we send out estimate reports. And so one of the other things that we use is an AI receptionist. So we use a thing called Half Genius AI. and they get the first call. So when someone calls our company, the AI receptionist answers, which I did all the guidelines and programming for it, and basically can schedule estimates, can answer questions. We tell them we have a minimum charge, and that kind of filters out customers right away, like if they're not interested. So if the customer's savvy enough and they want to talk to somebody, if they say transfer me to a representative, well, guess what? That transfers to Housecall Pro Assist. And then they get a live person. So when we're out in the field, we don't take those calls like we used to, which was a real challenge being on the roof. It's just not good. So, and then we use, as I mentioned, we use Chirp for all our, basically for our texting, a lot of emailing and follow-ups, marketing blasts and reviews. Which works really well. It's a great integration with Housecall Pro. We really like it a lot. And then I mentioned Company Cam, and then we also use Chat GPT.
Okay, how do you use, like, what do you use? Because I feel like a lot of businesses are like, okay, cool, I'm using Chat GPT, but now I got to like type stuff in here. Like, give me some examples of what you're doing from an AI perspective and how it's helping your business.
So, for example, we'll go out and do pictures of an estimate. We want to send an estimate out. We'll get the report together. We've got a template. It all drops in there. And we will put in Chat GPT what the requirements are. We tell Chat GPT to emphasize our customer service and our expertise and the value that we serve our customers and the attention to detail that we use. And I'll say, create a report, a header summary with this information and what they want us to do. And it pops out a real nice summary of what we're going to do. And it just makes it look nicer than I could type out. If I thought about it for an hour, maybe I could come up with that, but in 5 seconds, it does it. And then I do a summary as well. And when we're done, we do kind of the same thing. If we're trying to convince a customer, we had a commercial customer down here that does, it's like a high-end Airbnb. It's called Inspirato, and they lease out condominiums and houses, and they need someone to service those. So she wanted us to do it. And so I put together all of our information in ChatGPT about what we do and why we do it well, and had it produce a nice email. I sent that out to her, and we got the job right away. We've had that for a couple of years. So it's very helpful. It makes you look more professional. It's an amazing tool that we find very, very helpful in our business.
Yeah. And I think for those folks that are out there, the paid version's only, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 bucks a month or whatever. And what's really neat about it is you can start really having to learn about like your history, who you are, your company. You can put in your company values, like all the things that Brent was mentioning, like what makes you different, how's your approach to customer service different than your competition, et cetera. And then you could have it help you with writing out your estimates or proposals. So if you want to, you can use it on your app, on your phone, or you can use it on the web. You just copy and paste. Even if you're working on building out an estimate, if you want that description piece, you can just dictate directly, into ChatGPT and say, hey, make this more formal and presentable, adhere to our company's standards and mission, and it'll just write out something really nice and just copy that one in and paste it right in your invoice, paste right in your estimate. I love the idea where you said in the beginning, you're like, I want to make my company look bigger than it actually is, and just that formal, that presentation, having it really buttoned up, no simple grammar mistakes, no simple spelling mistakes, no fat fingers, or greasy fingers, I like to say, and that's a really easy way to use it. And you don't really have to do anything fancy. Just put in what you already wrote and say, make this better, and adhere to the company mission, policy, standards, and
one of the other things that we did that I just thought about that's really cool is when we came up with our home maintenance plan, we had to come up with the terms of service of that, because we offer, if you pay up front annually, we give you 2 months for free. Mm-hmm. If you pay monthly, then you pay the regular monthly. But if you opt out early, or if you try to get out, so I had to put in all the information in ChatGPT about what we did, what we offered there, and what we wanted to do if you had to check out early, and what percentage you would get back and all that. And it popped out the entire terms of service for that service that we offer. And I had to change a few things, but it was beautiful. It was just like I felt like I had an attorney working for me. You know, I just put in the information and I told it what state I was in and all that. It knows so much, you know.
Yeah, I think the caveat there is with the asterisk, like, talk to your local attorney and have them like verify stuff. But as a starting point, it's like it's phenomenal. It's really magical and takes a lot of the heavy lifting out. Yeah. And I can't confirm nor deny. There's many folks that use that and just drop it right in there, and it does just fine.
Just fine. Yeah. But it's a powerful tool. It's out there available. It's not expensive, and it makes you look bigger. Like I said, making yourself look bigger than you are makes people feel more comfortable about using your services. They don't have to know you have a smaller staff, or we work out of our house. We're because we're out at customers' sites, which eventually we want to move into a building with an office front and a warehouse. But they don't know that. They don't have to know that. And if you look bigger, you have a better chance of landing your prospective customers.
Yeah, and I always tell pros too, it's not just about landing them, but it's also charging the rates that you want to charge. And so when you're a premium shop and you're charging premium prices, you offer a premium service and you look bigger than you are, and you don't need to have a lot of employees to give that impression. You just have to have your systems in place and present really good looking estimates that are thoughtful and well written, and you can win just a lot of them. Let me change tacks just a little bit here, because you've been using Housecall Pro for almost 8 years, which is a very long time, because we launched the software back in 2015. So when you started probably back in 2017, it means like we probably had the basic calendar, the basic invoice, and the basic credit card processing. I mean, what's one feature that you have access to now that you use a ton that you wish you would have had kind of since you started? That's different maybe than something you've already talked about.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, something different than what I've already talked about. Well, let's see. We really like the ability to schedule a job multiple times. So before, in 17, you could only schedule it once and you were done. You're done.
Yep.
Now we can take that because we have jobs that go multiple days. So we'll just pause the job. We'll send out a new schedule invite for the customer, and obviously it dispatches to our techs as well. And we can then schedule that for tomorrow or next week or whatever we need to do. But it's very, very helpful in getting, instead of having to create another segment and then, scheduling that out. And so you guys have done a ton of stuff. You've listened to your customer base. You guys are just, I'm like, wow, I get these emails every month. There's all this new stuff coming out all the time. I'm like, okay, these guys are investing in the right areas and making this thing a better software for sure. The monthly maintenance plan, I know I already talked about it, but that's also extremely cool feature as well.
Yeah, I think that's one where a lot of folks tell me like, oh, Roland, I'm not HVAC, or oh, Roland, I'm not a plumber. I can't build these maintenance plans. But I'd invite you to please go check out OC Tasker, and even just directly on the website, you can see kind of the plans that you can pick from. But there's a lot of different ways to build value in something that's recurring, getting the house multiple times, offering value, breaking it down into low monthly costs. Any industry can really do that. You just got to be a little creative. And if you lack creative ideas, tell ChatGPT about your plight. Tell them like, hey, I want to create a monthly membership plan for my pet walking business, or that one's actually pretty easy. That's a gimme. But maybe my, I don't know, septic business, or whatever it is, and it'll come up with some great ideas. What about a feature that you feel like isn't talked about enough? Like, what's something that Housecall Pro has that you think doesn't get the limelight, but it's really something you either use all the time or feel like it should be used more?
Well, I think when we first started out, like I said, I was really ambitious. I went into many states. And so the online scheduler, I had to use something else to do that, because I wanted people to be able to schedule in their time zones and add some more functionality to it. But your online scheduling has really come a long way as well. Like I just went on. I was watching some of your podcasts with the Chimney Monkey, I think.
Yeah.
I went on his website and I walked through how to schedule, how he schedules the job. I was like, wow, I got to do this. This is amazing. This is like really robust, a lot more than you guys had before. And I think it's kind of cool because it kind of qualifies them from their zip code. So you can say right away, nope, we don't service that area. Sorry, which is one thing that we've done to help our efficiency and our profitability. Is we were really big and we reduced our radius to a select number of cities. So we're not driving 30 or 40 minutes out at different places. So being able to do that and then being able to, narrow them down to what they want done and then having them select the service and then schedule it there, I think is something that more people should start looking at using because it's a very effective tool.
Yeah, and I think people use online booking so often when it comes to restaurants, when it comes to their haircuts, to everything's just online booking, and so why not your company? And so figure out a way to make it happen, because there's going to be a percentage of customers that I don't want to call your business, I don't even want to text your business, just let me book online, and then when you come out we can talk. But I don't have time, I'm busy during the day, and so make yourself available. And I love that as a tool. And it's a really good suggestion because it has come a long way. Some of the new things coming out is the ability to make it so that if people book, they have to have a card on file before they're allowed to book, or you can charge them a flat fee before they even book, which might be like a truck charge or trip charge. Yeah. And so these will just qualify, the tire kickers, that some people say, people just book online and they don't really mean it. They'll mean it if their credit card is charged, on file over the card.
I'll tell you what. What's interesting is we use another tool to do that, and we had either a competitor or somebody who was upset with us. They'd come on and they'd book fake appointments just to screw us up and screw up our schedule and all that. And I called the company. I said, "Hey, can we block this IP address?" And they said, "No, we can't do that." And I said, "Okay." I'm thinking, and this is what I do in my job every day. I always say my middle name is MacGyver, because I've got a problem. I got a paper clip. Okay, I can figure out how to fix this. So I'm like, how am I going to solve this problem? And I said, well, what if I charged a small fee when you schedule? You got to put your credit card number in. You got to have a little bit of skin in the game. And that means if you're a fake guy, you're never going to do it. And if you're a real guy, you're going to be willing to invest $25 to schedule an estimate, which I say will be credited back to you if you end up doing work with us. So it's kind of an encouraging way for them to also engage with you and be a customer from a perspective to a real customer.
Yeah, that's a great golden nugget that you just shared, which is you can always charge a customer fee and just credit it back to any work you end up doing. And so, that makes it so that if you run an estimate, you don't win the job, at least you've covered some of your costs. If you do win the job, great, you won the job, and you just roll that straight into it and add that back into the price anyways. So why not?
And you get rid of the riffraff in the process as well. So
Totally. Well, I've enjoyed this conversation. You've obviously done so well in your business and thought through so many of the scenarios. Brent, what are some things, maybe like one big thing that you feel, someone that's maybe earlier in their journey, either as a home service company or as a tradesperson or someone starting with Housecall Pro should be doing and thinking about?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that I think would be helpful. Number one is, like I said, make yourself look bigger than you are. If you don't have terms and conditions, go to ChatGPT. Tell them what kind of business you're running, what you want, what you're doing, and then have that generate it, modify it, have someone else review it if you need to, and then you can publish that. But using as much of the functionality you can in Housecall Pro. So I like to say automate as much as possible without making it feel like the customer is just dealing with a robot, but automate as much as you can. You use AI where it's feasible. Pay for a website. I mean, we went full bore. We said we know we got to spend some money. We're going to pay for a website and SEO. And then when you have automation tools in place, you can handle that, fire hose that's coming at you, and you don't have to hire a staff of people in the back room to accommodate for that. I would also say, get a substantial amount of reviews to drive new customer business. We use Google My Business, and sometimes you have to take some jobs or maybe cut your rate a little bit in the beginning to get those jobs and get those reviews. Always exceed the customer's expectations. Be really good at communicating. That's not hard to do, especially with Housecall Pro. They love On My Way.
On My Way.
They love all the stuff of, when you're scheduling and when the job's completed and all that. It's all really, we get a lot of good feedback on that. And then, learn from others in forums, in coaching groups, in podcasts. There's a lot of information out there, and it's very helpful just to see what other people are doing. It might be one little nugget you come out of there. I watch a lot of podcasts, and I'll say, oh, I want to look at that software that guy talked about, and I'll go look it up and use it and find out it's a good thing. But always try new things, and really just, if you're going to make an investment, invest in some new tools, some software tools that will help run your business, because that really differentiates you from your average or normal home service guy that maybe is just out in the field and doesn't have time to do that. You do that, it'll pay back tremendously.
Awesome. I love all those. You asked for one and you dropped like 6. So I hope people are taking notes, because there's a lot of good info that Brent just shared with us. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us on the Superpro podcast, Brent. I super appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in the community some more. For anyone else that's listening, we'll be back next week with another amazing guest. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you all later. Thanks, Brent.
Thanks a lot.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.